Yeah, thank you very much for this kind introduction. Yeah, it's really a pleasure for me to have the possibility to talk to you. I saw you are more than 200 participants on this conference. And for me, it's a good possibility to speak about digital transformation. So 20 minutes are not as long, so I can give you only a rough introduction and overview what we are doing. These are more or less metadata, digital certificates, and what is pretty new is a digital metrological expert. But before I go to that, I try to go to the next slide here. Yes, I would like to tell about many good memories I have had and was invited when I was invited the last years more or less. And finally, I have good memories to last year where I was invited by Panama, by CMEP, and where I visited the workshop and where I was really impressed about the development of a thermo um, hydro barometer. And what was as well impressing was that you developed as well a digital calibration certificate. So you developed what we in Germany called a weather station, which is a physical important instrument because it's used in all laboratories and you are going in a very new direction. So that was unique in the world, let's say, and was really impressed. Before I go to the agenda, I would like to show you a next slide because I got a pretty new information, let's say 30 minutes before I participated to your conference. And that is that now the World Metrology is a globally official day, which will be celebrated annually and now is accepted by the UNESCO. Finally, 148 after we have had the first meter convention. Maybe that is of interest of all of you who are involved in metrology. So during my talk, I will give information about the international establishing for harmonization. Finally, that is called digital transformation, which is meanwhile discussed at the BIPM, the Meter Convention, and the Bureau of the Meter Convention. Then I will go and will give you a short introduction what we understand when establishing an infrastructure. So we have to define metastructure, how to transfer digital information and digital certificates. And finally, I would like to give you an information. What is the benefit of a digital SI harvesting, the advantages for society? And in my opinion, that is in future the digital metrological expert. Yeah, establishing harmonization, digital transformation at the CIPM, BIPM. Last year, the CIPM or the Meter Convention decided to go into a direction which they called digital SI, digital transformation. And from the whole resolution, I have only picked up some important information, and I don't want to read it completely. I don't want to. I want to concentrate only on the highlighted, yellow highlighted information. So these are three important targets. First is the digital representation of DSI. Finally, that is an idea how to express the units in a digital format. So how to express kilogram, second, meter, and so far. And they established a very nice database, the digital SI reference point, where we can have access to information which in future allows machine-to-machine communication. Then they focus as well on digital certificates. And at CNAM, many colleagues are very much involved in developing as well the digital certificate. Finally, that is a global project which is coordinated by PDB, but CENAM itself and other partners from, let's say, Middle and South America are very, very strong partners, and we are in, let's say, close discussion and exchanging ideas. And finally, the third point is following the FAIR principle. FAIR principle is more or less a paradigm or a philosophy how information should be provided in the internet. And FAIR finally means findable. We should find information. We should have access to the information. It should be interoperable. That is the most important and most difficult point, how machine can communicate among each other. And finally, it should be reusable, so usable in a long term, more or less. Yeah, digital SI at the Meter convention. Finally, how to go in that direction. The CIPM formed a so-called focus group, and yesterday we have had a first meeting which was chaired by Joachim Ulrich. He's a representative of a German physical society, and the vice chair is coming from Canada. That is Georgette MacDonald, who is doing, or these both people are doing a very important job because they try to receive all information of the over 100 NMIs and associated countries in order to define and to pave the road for a digital SI. A first important workshop will be held on the 6th and 7th of March. So the 3 is wrong information. Next year, that is as well not correct. So that is in 2024. And beside this focus group, where Hugo Gascar, for instance, is a member, we have a second group which is of extremely important, that is called the Joint Statement Signatories. And this Joint Statement Signatories is a group where important information like ISO, BIPM, ICE, CODATA, and many, many other organizations which have information and have access to standardization organizations are come together in order to consult the CIPM focus group. So IMECO as well is participating in this group, and Hugo Gascar from CENAM, who is also vice chair of the technical committee of IMECO TC6, which is called digitalization, is the representative of IMECO and will give directly information into this group. Yeah, so CENAM is playing here an important role. And 2 days ago, the signatories agreed that they have 2 days in front of this focus on this workshop, which I mentioned before, as well to meet in person in Paris at the BIPM. And they will focus on the FAIR principle to discuss what do we understand when we speak about FAIR digitals, FAIR principles in detail, and how can we come up with a definition under the Meter Convention, more or less. Yeah, so now I will go to my second topic, building an infrastructure, DSI and DCC. Finally, that is a proposal, a white paper, which was defined by ISO and VDE, which is more or less ICE. And they defined more or less different levels, how digital information, digital metrological information can finally transferred to individual partners or among individual partners, let's say. So that is the level 1. That is what we all know. You can transmit information on PDF formats or in Word documents. That is level 1. Level 2 is a bit more let's say, computer-oriented, so the information can be expressed in XML format, for instance. This is a format which can be not understood, but what can be read and generated by computer. The next one is the digital calibration certificate. That is a more sophisticated format as well, written in XML, but well defined in pre-normative standards. And up to level 3, that is infrastructure. The added value, and that is becoming important, is level 4. And that is what we at the moment are developing, a digital metrological expert. That is a software which can have artificial intelligence modules, but artificial intelligence on a first level, like we know from, for instance, ChatGPT. That is what they called transformating intelligence. So self-learning systems, large language models, these are the keywords. So finally, you train a system in a specific area, and then these artificial intelligent or system, which is described as artificial intelligence, will be able to give you an answer. The next step is the AGE. That is the artificial generative intelligence. That is the intelligence like humans have. So these are systems which can have access to all information in the world and can come up with completely new ideas. In my personal opinion, that will take 5 to 10 years until we have the first systems there where machine to machine can completely communicate among each others autonomously. However, we are here at the moment at level 4, and I will go to that on one of my next slides. I don't want to go too much into detail about DCCs because there were many conferences and presentations available. But let me give some important information here. I try to switch on the pointer here. So that is, as I mentioned before, well-structured XML format, complies with standards like GAM, like ISO 17025, which is very important for calibration services. It complies with the FAIR principle developed by institutes and with industry. That is important to bring things on the road. The documents are available on the internet, which describe the structure very well. And as I mentioned before as well, it's a worldwide network of developers, CNAM, and many other people and institutes from all over the world are involved in that. We have had the last DCC conference in February last year with more than 1,100 participants from over 93 countries. And the next DCC conference will be held between the 27th and 29th of February next year. Yep. So there are meanwhile many DCCs available. The most important are the DCCs for temperature, air pressure, and humidity, because they can be found in each laboratory, in each measurement room, more or less. The most sophisticated and well-developed DCC is available in the field of balances and mass. Here we have pre-normative documents available. We have meanwhile companies like Hefner Company, which are distributing DCCs to pharma industry. And we have a lot of software, commercial software available, which allows people to write DCCs. So that is the human-machine interface, more or less, which is very important. Then we have a lot of other DCCs available for force measurement, for density, and many others. Meanwhile, I'm not able to list them all. So the DCCs, in my opinion, are meanwhile very well established. There are pre-normative documents available, and that is a good basis to go into the next step. Yeah, what are the advantages of a DCC? Here I have listed some advantages. They apply to standardized and individual protocols. The XML protocol can have a huge amount of data, raw data, which usually is of interest in some companies. They have secure, seamless exchange of transmission of information. So you do not need any human beings to transfer the information from one system to the other, supporting software-based supply chains. And finally, there is no paper needed. Meanwhile, you can find DCs in many applications like digital nameplate, but the most important maybe is the asset administration shell, which is at the moment very popular in Europe, maybe in the world at all. So there are all information available which defines and characterizes a product, and the DCC is part of that. So you can have a DCC in a machine or in a process. So the machine automatically can read and generate DCCs, or in future you can have DCCs on a chip or sensor. Yeah, and now I come to my last information, that is harvesting the advantage for the society, the digital metrological expert. So if we look at a traditional calibration process, and here I describe an intercomparison. So finally, you have the balances, you have the expert, you write your report, you evaluate it automatically, you use therefore existing standards. Then you have the pilot laboratory, which makes the calculation and the, let's say, mean value and what all is necessary as well. That is done by human expert. You write the report. And if that is an intercomparison on the highest level, then you will give this information to the BIPM key database where you can find all information of established calibration services. So that is the world as it is existing now, but you exchange information via email or via letters from one step to the others. In future, and that is what we will have available before Christmas, you will have as well balances which can automatically operate. These are in the field of NMIs, National Meteorological Institute, comparator. So we have an agreement and a project running with two very well-known companies who sell and manufacture mass comparators. And the mass comparator can automatically calibrate masterpieces from reference artifacts, and then can automatically evaluate these information, and then can automatically evaluate and generate a DCC, and that can be done by individual and different partners. And this information is based on a well-established DKD, pre-normative document, which are developed by DKD. DKD is the German calibration service expert groups, which usually represent the industry. And this information then goes to a digital metrological expert, and this expert can autonomously, without any human being, evaluate all important parameters, and in addition can generate a digital report, which finally can be analyzed by a human being, and then can as well automatic transmit this information to the KCDB, the key comparison database of the BIPM, and that can completely automatically be done via the internet by a so-called API REST interface. So that is no dream, that is no proposal, that is running before Christmas and available, except this interface to the KCDB before Christmas. And that is the future, and that is the possibility how to earn money, how to have digital experts, and we invite everybody to develop these or modules for the digital metrological expert. Yeah, sorry, go back to that one. Yeah, information in a nutshell: receives documents from DCC via the so-called persistent identifier that is required and very well defined so that computer can understand this information worldwide, communicates with smart standards and calculates automatically the results, check the validity of incoming information, calculating numerical precision, for instance, and calculate EN value. That is a very important value if you have or if you have business with intercomparison. Carry out consistency checks and many more, and finally generate the report. That is what I mentioned before. And if you have interest to see that and to learn much more about DCC, digital metrological experts, artificial intelligence, then you are invited to come to Germany next year because IMECO is organizing a World Congress in Hamburg that will be held between the 26th and 29th of August. And beside digitalization, we have as well another very important topic focus day that deals with quantum technology, and all together hopefully will give you an interesting conference. Thank you very much. So that was my